Hola, boys. So we just signed Marcus Rashford. I'm here at the beach, but we're making content. We're going to talk about it. And it's really sunny. And forgive the look. We just went to the beach and, had a day. It looks like Barcelona had a day too, even though I wasn't expecting it. So we're going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on Rashford. We're going to look at some of the numbers here too, between him, Luis Diaz, Nico Williams, and the boys, and try and just get a basic understanding of maybe why Barcelona made this move and what I think Rashford might look like for Barcelona this season. First and foremost, to get it out of the way, it's a loan deal with a buy clause or a buy option. However, I've seen rumors that the buy option, if not executed, has a penalty, something similar to what happened with Sancho and Chelsea. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if that's put in there. I also think Barcelona have a decent negotiating foot to negotiate on here, since he wants to leave United. They don't want him anymore, and it's probably a good place to stand for someone trying to negotiate a better deal. And so I'm not 100% sure if that exists. If that does, though, it's a little unfortunate. And even if he's only on 5 million euros net and Barcelona have to pay all of that, it's really not the worst deal. It might be slightly more than that, the salary that he does end up requesting. I don't expect it to be too much. However, before we even get into the analysis of the player, my biggest problem is the fact that there was potential here to fill that spot that we'll say we're just going to go with 5 million net, 10 million. We'll just go with 5 million net. If you signed a player, say, for 20 million euros, put him on a 5-year long contract, you could split up that 20 million euros to be what is it? Yeah. No. 4 times 5 is 20. Yeah. You could split it up so it would be 4 million euros plus probably a million salary for someone that would cost that much. And that would end up costing 5 million euros as well. This is all in terms of the Barcelona accounting, La Liga financial fair play nonsense. And so I feel like that is really where we were existing, in a realm of that kind of amount of money. And for that much money, I don't know how good of a winger you could buy. They probably saw they couldn't pony up maybe the 40 million that the younger guys, like I think Nusa was his name. There was a couple of younger guys they were talked about that had some potential of joining that Barcelona were looking at. Then there were more expensive guys, like obviously Luis Diaz, who Deco was in love with. Barcelona fans really weren't. I wasn't, for especially how much Liverpool were asking, and for his age as well. There wasn't a ton of really good options. Doué would have been the best deal last summer. I think he went to PSG for about 45, and that would have been ideal. Obviously, in retrospect, it's easy to say that, but we are getting Marcus Rashford this season, and statistically speaking, it's not a terrible deal, right? I think he came up with 18 or 19 goal contributions in all competitions last season. Luis Diaz, I think, had 22. Nico Williams had a little bit less than that, or around there, and Leao had around there as well. And considering that, I would argue Rashford played in the most difficult circumstance of all of them, switching between Aston Villa and Manchester United, and also them not being the best teams. Aston Villa was better, but United sucked, and then Villa struggled through the Champions League or looked okay for a second, and then struggled. And so it's not the best place for a striker or winger to excel, and that's a key here. He can play both positions, and I think that is appealing for me. I don't know if it is for Hansi Flick, because he's been calling for a winger, not necessarily a striker right now, and so I don't know how much he is thinking about the fact that Rashford can play both positions. But for me, if I'm the coach, if I'm the sporting director, I see a player that has played both, has kind of excelled in that second striker realm between the left wing and the striker, and I see it as an opportunity to fill potentially kind of two positions at once. Whether or not he'll do that, is up to you guys, and I really don't think he will, because Rafinha kind of plays in that second striker role. He'll come down and play as a number 10 more often, I would assume, if Rashford gets more playing time, and I would expect him to probably be an out-and-out starter. Then again, that second striker position, that position between the left wing and the striker, is also where Ferran Torres plays. I think a lot of people have forgotten about him this season, and it's easy to, with all the talk of how great the other players have been and the numbers that even Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Lamine Yamal have put up. And, it's kind of easy to forget about him, but he is there as well. Now, I do think Rashford has the highest potential of all of these guys that we would have realistically been, able to afford. So either a young guy or somebody on loan. I think Rashford is really the best option. But it doesn't mean I'm most excited about it. I tweeted about it saying it kind of felt like a consolation prize just because of the timing of when, all the nonsense came out yesterday about Deco and or the 1-to-1 deal not being on and just the financials being in a weird place. It felt like, okay, the club realized they can't go for any better of a winger. They're going to go for him. It's also right after the Brian Mbemo move, so for United, and so maybe they were waiting for that to go through before they before they let Rashford go out. So it's not black and white. It's not super clear why it happened. But as a forward this season for United in the Premier League, he overperformed his XG. He underperformed for Aston Villa in the Prem, but put up some decent numbers, scored 10, 11 goals, and did a decent job on the wing. He's not really that touchline winger that we've really been calling for. That doesn't mean he can't do it. I think he has a little bit burst of explosivity and just tenacity that I think is good. It's not like he's Leao or even Nico Williams. He just doesn't have that same 1v1 ability that he used to have, but he's really good at running into space. I think he'll be great for when Barcelona is trying to make moves and counterattack and do things like that. And obviously that's why I thought Nico Williams would have been great, just because of his ability to stretch a defense and really just break in a way Rafinha can, and having just another outlet on that side is really good. The problem is he's not going to play on the right wing at all. So we went deputized for Lamine Yamal. That's part of the reason I was excited about Nico Williams, who has played on the right wing before and can also just kind of help the team. They can just switch over because he is a touchline winger, and they can kind of just shift their tactics and flip-flop it and take Lamine out, allow Rafinha to play on the right, but play inside on the right, if that makes sense. With Rashford, you can do something similar, but again, he is not that as much of a 1v1 player anymore. He used to be much more of one, and I'm sure Barcelona fans remember how insane he was when we played them in the Europa League in the 22-23 season when Xavi was still the manager. He lit everybody up, and he has something there. There is a great player there, and he's still only 26, and he's shown amazing things before, but he's played a lot of football, has been basically starting for Manchester United since he was 18 years old, got minutes when he was 17 as well, played 11 games in the Prem when he was 17, about 1,000 minutes, and so he's played a lot of football, and so he's not like a 26-year-old from 5 years ago. He's a 26-year-old, kind of like Iniesta, who's worked his ass off to get to this point, and so I think 26 is it looks a little bit different than, say, a 27-year-old Luis Diaz even, who, yes, has played a ton of football, but it just feels like he hasn't been run out to the same extent, playing in Colombia until he was 22 and then going to Portugal until he was 24. And making all those moves, I think there's more in his legs, and there will be for longer, than a Rashford. Again, it's a loan deal, but I'm just saying, even what to expect this season, I don't know. And I know he wants to join Barca. He's been commenting on all the guys' posts, liking everything. He wants to be here. That's almost more important to me than anything. That was one of my biggest issues with Leao, is that not that he wouldn't want to be here, but that he might be an issue in the dressing room. I think Rashford's going to want to work. He's going to want to prove himself. He's going to want to be a part of this team, and he'll figure out a way to do that one way or another, whether it's performing incredibly well or taking a back seat or just doing a job that Hansi Flick asks. I think he'll be able to figure something out, and that's great. And that's something I'm working on a video on Johan Cruyff right now, and his time as a manager and a player, and also I'm doing one on kind of Pep Guardiola-esque era at Barcelona, where players that don't necessarily take they don't really invest in the project that the coach has, don't help the team very much, and are usually booted out from the club and don't really work out that well. It's important that we have somebody who wants to listen to that coach's project and be a part of the team and is willing to learn and change. And I think Rashford's one of those guys who might play a little bit differently, might change the way he plays or change the plans he has just to make sure the team wins, the team plays to their best ability, in the way that it upset guys in the past under Pep Guardiola, like Eto'o, when Guardiola tried to cater to Messi and things like that, if that makes sense. So I think this is a good move, and we should be excited about it. Bringing another player in, bringing some more depth in is really good for us, no matter who it is. And having someone with so much experience in a young squad who, outside of Frankie de Jong, Lewandowski, and that's about it, really haven't had a ton of winning experience, or at least deep Champions League experience. And so having a little bit more around there can't hurt. But we'll see what happens, guys. That's about it. I just want to get on here and talk about it. The neighbors are having conversations, so I'm anxious and I'm going to bail. But thank you guys for watching, and until next time, until we get something else to talk about. Yeah, I'll see you then. Videos coming up on the main channel though in a couple days, so make sure you're subscribed, notifications on, the whole spiel. But peace, everybody.